Well. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program known as Smokin' and Toastin'. It's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. My name is Cruz, my erstwhile partner. I like that word, erstwhile.
That's a good word for today.
My partner in crime is Ian Barry, and welcome to Smokin' and Toastin' number 93. Nice to have you back in the studio.
It feels good to be back. Now, I got to tell you, as good as it feels to be back,
yeah,
I'd still rather be, sitting by a pool in St. Petersburg.
I can't say that I blame you because we had you on Skype for the show last week.
That was pretty fun.
And, it made for interesting visuals because you were sitting there puffing away on a cigar. I was so jealous. But, of course, I got back at you by being able to sample all the stuff that our special guest last week, Greg Dixakis from Maison Ferrand.
I didn't get to try any of it.
I know, and it was all quite delicious, man. We had some rums last week. That was really good. If you were even moderately interested in rum, make sure you go back and check out last week's show because we tried several different kinds. Greg talked about the differences in rum from the different regions, whether it's Jamaican rum or rum from any of the other places that it can come from. There's a lot of different places in the Caribbean that rum is produced. So it was all very interesting and very delicious. And he
was a fun guest to have.
And he sent us a note this week and has already confirmed for show 100, where we're going to invite all the guests who've ever been on the show to join us at a yet-to-be-determined location. And it's going to be like show 100, just going to be a smoking and toasting free-for-all.
That'd be awesome.
It'll be good. I think we'll have dancing girls. It'll be wonderful.
Yeah. Like I don't even know how to say no to that.
Of course, you don't want to say no to that. Well, welcome to the program. We're brought to you by B&B Butchers and Restaurant at 1814 Washington Ave in Houston, and in the shops at Clear Fork in Fort Worth. What up, Jeremiah? He was our guest on the show 2 weeks ago, and we had a lot of fun there at B&B.
He is always a blast.
And talking whiskey. Today's going to be about tequila. Today's show is Tequila 101, some common mistakes to avoid if you're just getting to know tequila. And if you're not, well, why aren't you? Because tequila is one of the true pleasures in sipping spirits. And so that's what we want to talk about today. We made reference to some of these things before, like if you need salt in the lime, you're not drinking the right tequila, things like that.
That's right.
But we'll tell you all about the easy steps to learn to enjoy and appreciate and develop a real appreciation for tequila. So it's kind of Tequila 101. And we'll be sampling a tequila today. I have brought us a bottle of the El Amo Edicion Premium Anejo Tequila. So that'll be on our sampling list.
There's so many syllables in that, it has to be delicious.
I had to look at the notes just to see if I could do it. We're also going to be tasting Brooklyn Pale Ale's Summer Seasonal, which is it's Brooklyn Brewing's Pale Ale Summer Seasonal, I should say. We'll be tasting Best Buds IPA from Texas Beer Refinery, which I have a whole story to tell you about that, and 11 Below Brewing's Big Mistake Barrel-Aged Stout, which I brought last week, but we had so many spirits to taste that we didn't get to it. And so you are in luck, sir, because you'll be able to do your research on the 11 Below Barrel-Aged Stout called Big Mistake.
It brings a tear.
It's got one of the coolest cans designs ever.
Their can artwork, 11 Below is a local Houston brewery, for those of you who aren't familiar with it. And their can art is awesome.
Yeah, and we'll show this when we get to that segment, but on the Big Mistake Barrel-Aged Stout, it's a kid running with scissors.
It's awesome.
Yeah. What could be better than that?
I love that they named one of their beers Oso Bueno.
Oso Bueno, yeah. No, very creative. I've noticed, by the way, that breweries are getting more and more creative in their naming of craft beers and the packaging of said craft beers.
I'm not going to lie. I will buy ridiculous packaging.
I will too, because I just have to try it out. And especially doing the show, I'm like, oh, we gotta try this. We gotta talk about it.
And I don't know where the line is. Like, there's a thin line between, okay, this ridiculous packaging is cool and funny, and I have to buy it, and it's not. That ridiculous packaging is just stupid.
Yes.
And I don't know what the line is. I can't describe it.
When it comes to beer, I have a hard time telling where the line is. And in many cases, I know it exists, but So anyway, so it should be a good show. This is show number 93, as we are ticking away 7 shows away now from our landmark 100th episode, the Smokin' and Toastin' Free-for-All. So
that's so exciting.
Start giving you more details about that as we progress. So you had an interesting week. You were out of town. That's why you were on Skype last week, and so I can only assume that you may have smoked something interesting while you were away.
I just want to point out that this job is a harsh taskmaster, because even when I go out of town, I still have to Skype in and talk about cigars,
and beer. In fact, it looked like you were really having a tough time dealing with that on the.
Well, I don't know if you could tell on the video from last week, but you were actually interrupting my vacation.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Also, there was a giant bug on my glass. That was
I saw
funny.
that. Yeah.
You guys were in such an intense conversation, and this giant bug hit my glass. So I just put it up to the camera, and you were like completely derailed. That was hilarious.
It really reminded me of the old, Godzilla movies and stuff, where they would have the monster attacking the town, but it would actually be like a regular sized spider in a little miniature town. It was awesome,
brilliant. So I had a fantastic time. So first off, the local places are so great there. We started off in Tampa, and there'll be some video for this next week on our show.
That's right, yes.
We're going to edit that down.
You brought back some video reporting.
I've got some really fun ones.
Where did you do video?
So the videos that I did mostly were in Ybor City, which is just a blast. It's very touristy, but very awesome at the same time. So it's like touristy kind of done right.
When you're a tourist, it's fun to be.
I want to lay out a couple things. So we ended up going to this place called Rock Brothers Brewing,
I like it.
Which is right like a block off of the Strip in Ybor. And this guy was just concocting these drinks that were amazing. So you're going to see video on that next week. I'm not going to give that away, but Roy over at Rock Bottoms was pretty awesome.
Oh, I love it.
And I made an appointment with him. I was like, when is a good time to come in here and shoot some video? So we met up on Friday and did that.
So is he making the drinks on the
Yes,
oh,
you'll be able to see the process, and he talks about it. And so that was a blast. And then as we were walking back, kind of the way we came from the brews, getting kind of dark outside, and we walked down this block, and all these, this it's an old downtown area, so all these little strips of buildings are squished together, and there's like all these shops and everything squished together in all these buildings. And we walk by this staircase with a little board outside that says, "Jazz, cigars, local craft beers." Well, like
it might as well say, "Ian, come inside."
Hey, what do you do?
Right. You're only a man.
We were yes. I'm giving her all she's got, Captain, but I'm stuck in this tractor beam.
Yes.
So that was for you, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciated it.
So anyway, we end up going up this place was perfect, by the way, okay, for exactly what that sign said. So you walk in, and it's just this staircase. And it's a big-ass staircase. You walk way the hell up to the second floor. Because, second floor on those downtown, style buildings is not your, 7 steps and a landing and 8 steps and you're there,
Yeah.
This is a big old staircase.
You're climbing the stairway to heaven.
Right. So you go way up the staircase and walk into this little, this was the smoky bar. James Cagney could have walked in there at any moment.
This is what you were totally looking for the whole time.
It was perfect.
Yeah. Love it.
It was perfect.
I love it.
So we walk in, and there's a bass player and a sax player playing. I didn't get their names. They were fun. They were just doing a duet jazz thing. And we smoked some cigars and sat there chatting for a while. And I realized, okay, so we're in the front part of the bar. The whole back area of the bar is not even open yet. They're still under construction. So I ended up chatting with this guy. We'll have a video with him as well about him opening his bar and everything, because they were so cool and interesting. So anyway, that was a blast. On Saturday, I went down to a cigar shop in St. Petersburg. Now, these cigar shops are awesome. Yeah. You don't get this in Houston, right, very often. You walk into a cigar shop, and instead of having a walk-in humidor, a lot of these guys have a wall of humidors all the way down, glass humidors all the way down the wall, okay? And you may see some of that on the videos or some of the pictures that I took that I'll post up soon. But and then there's a bar. And you get your cigar and you go have your craft beer and whatever else. Well, I walked in and they were having a little event there, a little promo event, and I ran into a guy named Roger Robbins from JG Cigars and Associates.
JG Cigars.
JG Cigars. Now, you've heard some of his products. They represent Oscar Valladares.
Oh, nice.
So that's Leaf by Oscar. I know those are very popular.
Yeah,
those are
Leaf
fantastic.
That cigar company is really growing.
Yeah. And so we got to chat, and I was telling him about the show, and we went back and forth, and he goes, "Here, man, have you tried one of these?" And he hands me an Oscar Valdez, one of the 2012 cigars, and with the red label, which is the Maduro. And I said, "Wait, I have had that." He goes, "Oh, well, have you had this one?" And he hands me the one with the orange label, which is the Corojo. I was like, "I have not had that." So that is my cigar of choice for today.
Okay.
To tell you about, because I sat and smoked that last night, and I told him I would.
So you brought it home with you?
Yeah, I brought it home with me and smoked it, because I had a different cigar that he gave me while I smoked there. But I'll talk about that one another time. But I wanted to talk about this one because this one, I had the Maduro. We had this. We got the Maduro version of this at the Big Smoke.
I remember.
And I had that, and I enjoyed it. And I think we talked about it on the show. I talked about mine on the show probably at that time. This was an Oscar Valdez 2012 Corojo, Honduran Corojo wrapper, Honduran Nicaraguan combination filler. So I went through this one with a pretty fine comb, and this was a fun cigar. It had leather, nutmeg, cream, coffee, green pepper, cedar kind of on the pre-light sniff, like a bunch of little things going on. It was pretty complex. The pre-light draw was effortless. It was almost oddly effortless. It was almost like there wasn't a cigar.
Just whoosh.
Yeah, just whoosh. So I thought maybe this is going to smoke kind of fast. We'll see how it goes. But the taste that you were getting in the draw were really nice. It was a lot of cream, coffee, leather, and oddly enough, chicory. Chicory of all things is what occurred to me.
Like coffee in New Orleans.
It was very weird. Like, I've never had a cigar that made me think chicory before. This one did, and it did the entire time too. It wasn't just one of those things.
But you liked that.
No, I did. Yes,
distracting.
I did. Absolutely. Well, it was distracting in the fact that it was a cool another level of interest that I hadn't ever experienced in a cigar. So this, and maybe I was just weird. Maybe it was the bug spray that I had on me. I don't know, but it smelled like chicory to me.
Well, if you want to experience this and you're not getting it from the cigar,
then
add bug spray to your body, and maybe it'll happen. Yeah.
So, in the last few seconds of this segment, let me run down the rest of this. Let's see. So the initial light was very much a lot of cream in this, a lot of very just general creamy kind of flavors. There's a little bit of pepper, cedar. I got some of that nutmeg and caramel, and still chicory.
Nice.
Like, it was just this. Maybe once I got it stuck in my head, I couldn't stop tasting it, but it was chicory and it was fun. The first third of this is big creamy smoke with light spice and coffee, hint of nutmeg. And chicory.
And
it was fun. This is such a big silky smoke. This is a good solid medium cigar, okay? I saw online some people rating it as a medium to full, but no, I'd say this is dead center medium. The one that I had was dead center medium. And I think people that enjoy on the lighter side of cigars would probably enjoy this as well, just because the flavors were interesting, not intense, if that makes sense. You know, like, the intensity wasn't huge, but they were very interesting. The second third of the cigar was solid. It just kept smoking the same way all the way through. The burn was perfect. Like, the burn was absolutely perfect until the cigar went out. It never even ran. It was never uneven. And it did smoke kind of fast. It was a 60 ring gauge. I assumed it would have been a 45 to 50 minute cigar. It was about 35 minutes, which is pretty fast.
The whoosh, you know.
Yeah, but it never felt too burnt up. The last third of this, the intensity did ramp up a little bit, but just a little bit. It got a little more complex, more pepper, got a little bit of light chocolate flavors in there, and caramel flavors. Still had that chicory kind of undertone. I smoked it pretty low. Like, I didn't let very much of this cigar go to waste at all. I give this a solid 6 out of our price to quality scale, which puts it a little above what I would have paid for it. Although Mr. Robbins was generous enough to give me this cigar, so at the price that I actually got the cigar, it gets 10, of course.
Oh yeah, of course.
If I paid the actual price for the cigar, I would give it above. It was a great cigar. It did smoke a little fast, is the only thing that I could complain about at all. But that's not really a complaint because it smoked great. And
well, as long as the construction, I don't mind if they smoke fast if it's a very open draw, but as long as the construction, as long as it doesn't burn weird because of that.
I was surprised at the combination of how open the draw was, how fast it smoked, and how even the burn was. The burn was perfect the entire time.
Fantastic. So, and this is, say the name of the cigar
This
again?
is an Oscar Valadares 2012. This was the
2012,
Corojo. It had
the
the
Corojo.
orange color wrapper. The wrapper's real cool. It says 2012 because it's talking about, like when the world was supposed to end, of course, on the Mayan calendar. And it has this cool Mayan-looking
Yeah, I remember the
kinda
2012 is a really nice, cool script. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great-looking cigar, too. And the one I had was the light, like milk chocolatey colored one.
Nice.
Not the dark Maduro one, which I also reviewed. And I think I reviewed that one pretty favorably,
I believe you were a big fan, yes.
So I had a great time with it.
So, well, that's awesome. Sounds like you had a great time the whole trip.
I did.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so when we come back, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be tasting the Brooklyn Pale Ale Summer Seasonal from Brooklyn Brewery. And I'll tell you a little bit about what I smoked this week. And two giants in the cigar industry passed away. And so we want to pay tribute to them. When the show continues, you're listening to Smokin' and Toastin', and we will be right back. Welcome back to Smokin' and Toastin'. It's show number 93. We are brought to you by the fine people with the excellent bacon at B&B Butchers and Restaurant, 1814 Washington Ave in Houston, and in the shops at Clear Fork in Fort Worth, Texas, and soon to take over the rest of the world, because when you make dry-aged steaks that are that delicious, and the bacon, and the way that bar is stocked at B&B, I mean, you're going to conquer the world.
Don't forget, it is an actual butcher shop, so you can walk in and buy the dry aged steak and then take it home.
I was looking when we were there. I was looking at the thing. As you had previously mentioned, you can buy Chef Tommy's bacon.
You can. They got a whole pack. They got everything in one box, ready to go, and instructions on how to make it badass.
That would be if you're like a single guy and you want to impress a woman and you got her over for breakfast, right? Perfect it first. Like, go buy it, try it, make sure you got it right, then go back, buy some more, and go, let me whip you up some bacon.
Here's your eggs and a side of bacon.
And then lay that on her. Oh, man, you'll score big time. Big time. It's show number 93, and we are so glad to be here. It's Tequila 101 today on the show. We're going to be going over some tips for people who are maybe just getting into tequila, or maybe your only tequila memories. Because every time I bring up tequila, if I've got a guest over at the house, I go, hey, would like to have some tequila? They go, oh, I have a tequila story.
There's always a tequila incident.
Everybody has a tequila incident. And if that's as far as you got with tequila was the incident, then maybe it's time for you to be introduced to one of the finer and more delicious spirits in the world. And so we'll talk about how to get started.
In this Tequila 101, are you going to teach me the proper way to slice the lime? And where to add the salt?
No. Oh. I was going to say, I figure you know how to slice the lime, but that's if you're making margaritas. You don't want to put... And by the way, I just want to say, and my wife will back me up on this, I feel like I'm getting close to saying I may have perfected the margarita. Like, I'm really on a roll making margaritas lately.
You're going to have to let me in on those secrets, and also, you're going to have to prove it to me.
Okay. I will be happy to prove it to you. Here's the secret. You ready? If you use a margarita mix, which is allowable, you just have to use a really good one. Don't use just Fred's mix. I use Nina's Natural, and you can make it yourself, of course, by squeezing more limes and putting some of the things together that's in there. But what you have to do is completely ignore or just invert the instructions, because the instructions will tell you use 2/3 Nina's mix, and they all say this, 1/3 tequila. That is incorrect. It's 2/3 tequila, 1/3 mix. Then I use a little Contreras and use a really good Blanco or Reposado tequila, but good quality, something. We'll get to a little bit of that when we get to Tequila 101. And then I cut a lime in half, like a small lime, squeeze. I usually make these 2 at a time in a shaker, so 2 margaritas at a time in a shaker, and I cut a lime in half, squeeze the whole half a lime into, and then shake with ice. And it's surprisingly easy and good. Now, yesterday, I tried something new that I hadn't tried. I put in just a dash of some limeade.
Ooh.
And it just gave it that extra little,
little
something. Yeah. So that's, there's some tequila secrets.
So my wife made margaritas at one point in time, and she was adding in the Pura Vida Naranja.
Oh, yes, so that's the Contro. That's the orange.
Yeah.
So you want to splash of that. You don't want to overdo it.
But that's a full 40%, too.
Yes, and
it's not just a liqueur.
But the big thing about the Naranja or any kind of orange liqueur, Contro, whatever, you do not want to overdo that because it will make your margaritas bitter.
Yeah.
But it's very good for just that little bit of flavoring. It's about the ratios. Once you get the ratios right, margaritas.
I always like about a half a shot. Not a full shot, but about a half a shot of like a Grand Marnier in there.
Mm-hmm. And Grand Marnier basically accomplishes the same thing in the margarita. So it's just a very high quality liqueur. So
you're going to have to prove yours to
really
me.
Good. I will be happy to do that, my friend. Want to real quickly recognize two giants of the cigar industry that passed away, not this last week, but the week before, and we didn't get a chance to get to this on last week's show. But it's... I'm kind of bummed about this. I've met one of these guys, and he was just as gracious and nice as he could be. Kino Ozgener, who formed CAO Tobacco with his son and daughter. He passed away on June the 9th at his home in Nashville, Tennessee. He was 81. And Eric Hansen, who founded Hammer and Sickle Cigars, also passed away. He died on the 8th of June. And... I don't know. I never met Eric Hansen. I met Kano and his son Tim at a cigar event once, and they were just so passionate about their cigars. I loved them instantly. They were so passionate about it. So anyway, our thoughts go out to their family, and CAO, of course, is one of those cigar companies that's been acquired. They were sold to General Cigar Company, but they still make. I think this happens to a lot of cigar companies. I think that get acquired, they go through a phase where the cigars maybe don't have quite the quality that they used to have. But then they have a tendency to come back. I'm looking at you, Camacho. That totally happened to Camacho. They just lost quality. But the last couple Camachos I've tried are totally back on track. So it's a good thing.
Plus, they're called Camacho.
Yeah, and you got to love that. Speaking of cigars, I had one that I wanted to mention this last week. It was the Nica Libre Potencia Robusto. Potencia.
I'm totally interested to hear what you think about this because I'm a fan of Nica Libre.
Well, I like Nica Libre a lot. This is a really pretty little Robusto. Oliva factory in Nicaragua is where these are made. And it has a sun-grown Habano wrapper. It has Nicaraguan binder and fillers. The pre-light was earth and coffee beans. It burned beautifully. Fantastic construction. There were notes of coffee, chocolate, some leather, and a nice nuttiness. And it's about a $3 cigar.
You gotta love
the Robusto.
that.
So you gotta love it. I'm gonna give it a 5.5, 5.5, which means I would really I should give it better because if it were a $5 or $6 cigar, I wouldn't have been at all disappointed. The only thing is, I'm not sure it's better than the standard Nica
90.
Libre. Yeah, which I just love. Just the
they're great.
They're so good, and they're about the same price. And I think the cigar was supposed to be like the step up, the deluxe. Here's our even more special version. And I'm not sure it was more special, but it was good, and it was very inexpensive. So I like it.
I have to say I have had that cigar, and I found myself merely whelmed.
The Potencia?
Yes.
Merely whelmed?
Merely whelmed.
Not overwhelmed.
Not overwhelmed.
That's kind of how it was. It was very good.
But it wasn't bad. I was not upset with it by any means. I expected more since it was a different one. But I found that it was good, and I liked it as much as I liked it.
And again, at the price. I mean, you're talking a $3 cigar.
I can't believe Nica Libres are that inexpensive.
I know. It's amazing to me that they're that good and that inexpensive.
I'd like to know. Go ahead. Oh, that was good. I'd like to know if there is another cigar in that price range that is as good as that.
I'm not sure there is.
Because that is always my go-to.
I'm not sure there is. You and I have made our lists before on the show of, cigars under $6. I believe it was 6 was something where we said it. That we made our top 5 list, and the Nica Libre made both of our lists.
And
'cause it's just good stuff.
Oddly enough, I like the smaller sizes of the Nica Libre better than I like the bigger sizes of the Nica Libre, which is a little opposite because I usually like bigger cigars.
You usually like those
general.
big ring gauge smokes. Yes, that's absolutely true. I'm with you on the smaller ring gauge. I'm kind of going through a smaller ring gauge phase. I've had a few cigars recently that were larger ring gauge that I really did like. But, man, some of the best things I've had, some of the things I've enjoyed most have been, 50 and under in terms of ring gauge. So,
well, recently I picked up a
it.
couple cigars that were actually Lanceros on the recommendation of, I think, the guy over at Lone Star Cigars. And it was odd that I picked up Lanceros just because I don't generally pick them up. I usually think if I'm going to have a longer cigar, it's usually a bigger ring gauge.
yeah.
But Lanceros are fun and interesting, and I'll try. I've got it's a Aldous, I think, at a house that he recommended. I haven't tried yet.
Sometimes the flavors can be very intense on the Lanceros. Yeah. So, I'm going to show this to camera. This is the Brooklyn Summer Ale, the Pale Ale Seasonal from the Brooklyn Brewery, which, by the way, is located in Utica, New York, not in Brooklyn, which I thought was kind of interesting. But this is their pale ale. It is a seasonal, so it's not available year-round. And I could tell on opening the bottle, I got a little bit of the hint of floralness on the nose. It's a hop character, but
it smells a lot like St. Arnold's Fancy Lawnmower.
Yeah,
and that hoppy kind of freshly cut grass kind of smell.
Fortunately for me, it doesn't taste like that. I love St. Arnold, but I am not a fan of the lawnmower.
I like the lawnmower.
Everybody I know likes the lawnmower. I don't care for it. It's
not my favorite beer, but I do like it.
Yeah,
I have no problems with it.
It's a little grassy for me, and that's what it's supposed to be. So they're accomplishing what they wanted to do with the beer, but I feel like it's just not exactly to my palate. This, however, I'm not getting the grassiness on the taste.
Did they call this blonde ale?
They call it a pale. It says pale ale seasonal.
This tastes like what you would just call a blonde ale.
Well, it kind of does. I agree with you there. It's got, but it's got a little bit more of the hoppiness to it, and not that sort of heavier IPA kind of hoppiness, but more of that floral kind of hoppiness. So
it's floral centric.
I think I've said the word floral about 8 times now, but
it's floral centric.
That kind of is what it's not that it's so flowery. It's just got a very bright.
It's got a floral centricity to it.
It's very bright.
I'm pushing this one through, damn
I know you are. I know you are. You're not afraid to keep going, and I like that. I respect that about you. Yeah. No real bitterness to speak of on this. It's pretty refreshing.
This is it. You know what's funny is when you smell it, it has some of that hoppy. Bright hoppiness that you expect in the summer, but you don't really get that so much in the taste. It's not.
No, it tastes more.
Doesn't taste as bitter as it smells.
Tastes more like a blonde, like you said.
Yeah, it tastes. It's got a very smooth blonde ale kind of taste. That little hoppy snap to it comes back in the end, but it's just barely a finish. It's not even that noticeable anymore once the aftertaste is gone. This is a good beer. I think it's quite drinkable,
very refreshing. Again, I always think of summer beers in terms of if you got a bunch of these stuffed in a cooler and you're at the beach or at a pool party, like how's this going to go down? How is this going to be? How drinkable is this going to be as the day wears on? Right.
I imagine this beer with tacos.
Ooh.
This flavor profile on this just to me screams I need to be with a taco.
We should do a taco and beer pairing show. Ooh, I like this idea.
The way you think.
We will discuss this during the break, and when we come back, we'll be tasting something called Best Buds. It's an IPA, and I'll be getting, I think, some information to you, Ian, that you're going to be very excited about. Motorhead is debuting a beer. We'll be back with that info, plus Tequila 101, all coming up. You are listening to Smokin' and Toastin'.
Motorhead.
Yeah.
You know you're gonna lose.
Very much so.
What's the whole line there? Oh, you know you're gonna lose, and gambling's for fools. but that's the way I like it, baby. I don't want to live forever.
And he didn't.
And don't forget the Joker. I can't believe you were ignoring my floral centricities.
I liked your floral centricities. I just, sometimes it works best if I don't acknowledge. And now for something totally different.
Dun, dun, dun.
Let me ask you a question in this next segment. So I wanted to put that over there.
Yeah.
You went to Jugs?
I did not, but I will tell you the story.
Oh, I'm surprised there's that much left.
That's what you call willpower, my friend.
Oh, you already know the story.
Yes. In fact, he's responsible for the story.
Even better.
So, okay. Ready when you are.
We are so turning our engineer into a beer nerd.
I know. And a whiskey snob. And we're out to dinner on Father's Day, and he's like, I'm ordering, they have a Lone Pine IPA. I'll have that. And my wife's getting a margarita. And he's like, Buffalo Trace. I'm like, dude, you're right on it. All right, let's do it. Welcome back to Smokin' and Toastin'. This is the radio program that's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We're a radio program. We're a podcast. We don't discriminate. You can listen to us any way you want to.
Yeah, you can call us whatever.
Just
hit like and share.
Yep, I can call you Betty. You can call me Al. It totally works.
That song should be so good, and it's so boring.
Yeah, I know. I know. But if it gets stuck in your head,
there's no helping it.
Forget about it. We're brought to you by B&B Butchers and Restaurant at 1814 Washington Ave in Houston, and in the shops at Clear Fork in Fort Worth. Thanks, by the way, to Greg Duxakis from Maison Ferrand, who was our guest last week, and because he was here and he brought so much great stuff to taste, and then you were reporting live from Florida, as I point to the monitor where you were reporting live, we missed getting to talk about a couple of things that were kind of happening in the cigar and spirits industry last week, and one was that the strike and the violence in Nicaragua was reportedly having an impact on the Nicaraguan cigar business, and it was there were some issues with delivery shipments getting from where they needed to go because of some of the protests, getting to where they needed to go, although not everybody reported problems. And then almost all the cigar factories had at least one day where no work was done because of the strike. The strike is now over, and the factories in Nicaragua are operating once again. It was a 24-hour labor strike that was staged last week. Most sources in the industry have confirmed to Cigar Aficionado that cigar operations are up and running, even though the political situation in Nicaragua is still pretty unstable. So they're reporting from Oliva, from J.C. Newman, from A.J. Fernandez, and Plasencia Cigars that everybody's back to work and the production has resumed. So I don't think you'll see it impact cigar availability or cigar prices, but because the situation's still unstable, I thought it was, interesting enough to mention, because Nicaragua is like where some of my favorite cigars are made.
I would be, and I don't have the number, but I would be probably a little mind-boggled to know how many cigars didn't get made for one day from all those factories.
I was wondering about that because it's so... You go, one day, that's one day out of the month, and, it's, there's still, 29, 30 days to make cigars. But, yeah, a day could mean hundreds of thousands of cigars. That
pretty quickly
made.
Like that.
It
especially across many factories.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if it does impact anything. But so far, everybody is kind of going out of their way to assure us that nothing's been affected, at least where cigars are concerned. All righty, and big news for you. Even though you are not in the Great Lakes area, you do have relatives
I do.
That are in Michigan, right?
I do. Quite a few.
Well, residents of the Great Lakes area will soon be able to pour one out for Lemmy, the late rock and roll legend of Motorhead. Motorhead is releasing their own official beer. They have commissioned Kalamazoo-based Arcadia Brewing to brew Road Crew craft beer. And the O in Road Crew has the, is it an umlaut? Is that what you call the two dots above the O? Just like in Motorhead,
Yep.
right? So it has that above the O. So it's the Road Crew craft beer. For the U.S. market, initially it'll only be available in the Great Lakes region of the Midwest, but Calumet Breweries will be distributing it in Northwest Indiana. And it'll be released in bottles, cans, and kegs at retailers and bars and restaurants in Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, and other Midwestern states. It's an American IPA with floral and citrusy hops and 6.2 ABV. Go Motorhead.
Go Motorhead.
Yeah.
And for any of my family up there, I'm just saying if I happen to get a package in the mail,
Yes.
since I can't get it here.
I wish the camera were on your fingers. But
Oh,
your fingers,
sorry. Let me do this.
If I, if I
happen to get a package in
yeah.
the mail.
By the way, the press release had this quote, which is alone the reason to do this story. Road Crew beer is perfect for all rock, beer, and hopheads, and goes down especially well whilst listening to Motorhead at a wonderfully obscene lawn-killing volume. So there you go. It says whilst and wonderfully obscene
Whilst.
in the same sentence. Motorhead joins, of course, a number of rock bands that have released beers recently, including Iron Maiden, AC/DC, Pearl Jam, and NoFX.
And don't forget hops.
Yeah, well, yes, I'm trying.
Oh, wait, you did say rock and roll band. Never mind.
We did taste the NoFX beer, and it was actually quite good. Yeah, we had that on the show, so it was quite good. All right, Ian, it's time for me to tell you what's going on in this little baby right here from
What is
Jugs.
happening?
First of all, let me say there's an establishment in Houston called Jugs, and to be honest,
It's not what you think.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't go in.
Because it's not the same as Hooters
Right, that's what I thought.
or Twin Peaks.
That's totally what I thought. I thought, but apparently that's the one that spelled Jugs with two G's. That's what that one is. No, Jugs is actually a place where you can go and you can buy a growler like this one that I'm showing the camera right here, and then you can take it back and when it's empty and refill it. So it's I love their slogan. It says "Saving the planet one growler fill at a time," and that's a pretty cool idea. What's even cooler is, from what I understand, because I haven't been in. What's even cooler is the variety of beers that they have available that they can put in your growler. And
So there's actually a recent surgence of these types of places. There's one called Growlers. There's one called Jugs. There's quite a few others in town, and it's a tap wall basically. You go in, you can try all the different beers, and
sample and then decide which one you want. Yeah,
and a lot of them also have other beers other than what's just on tap. But there's quite a few in town, and you can spend quite a good chunk of your afternoon just trying out beers and buying one.
Well, I received this growler full of Best Buds IPA from Texas Beer Refinery in Dickinson, Texas. I received that as a gift for Father's Day from my stepson and his fiance, my stepson, who just happens to be Adam, who's on the Wheels of Steel.
We are
on
so
the
turning
program.
our engineer
into a
slash
beer
your
snob.
stepson into a beer snob.
Yeah, we totally are. But Adam, I thought maybe you can pop on the mic there and just tell us a little bit about what this was like when you went in to get this, because
he is, by the way,
I actually haven't been into Jugs, so
he is an oddly nice boy for a millennial.
we don't hold that against him. But I still remember when he schooled us on kombucha.
There's that.
It's kombucha.
Kombucha, see, there you go.
No, Jugs is awesome though.
So were you like already aware of this, or was this the first time you went in?
So I've driven past it many times, and I never went in. I saw it looks like a cool place. I'm going, and I was shopping for it was the same day as Father's Day. It was my mom's birthday, so I was gift shopping, and I happened to drive by there. I was planning on getting you like some cigars or something. I wasn't sure. I was like, let me go stop by in there, and it was actually closed when I went. But the guy was actually setting up beer and whatever, and he was like, "Oh, come on in, man." Like I was like, "Oh, I wasn't aware y'all were closed." Whatever. He was like, "Come on in," whatever. He was a super nice guy. He was like, "Here, try some of this, try some of that." Like, overly nice for no reason. It's like, wow, okay, cool. Like, so I just ended up hanging out there for like 10, 20 minutes, and he convinced me on getting this beer because I told him what you liked and stuff, and he was like, oh, this will be perfect. He'll love this. And I'd never heard of it. So they actually had two slots with St. Arnold's Divine Reserve on it.
Oh, nice.
And so I was like, okay, this place is legit. And then they also had this it's a beer from 512. It was a barrel aged stout, like a special
Was it
edition.
one of the bourbon barrel
It was one of those,
aged, like the BBH or one of those?
Yeah, it was one of those. It was a special edition bottle. You could tell it was like really nice. So I know they're getting like pretty good stuff, and I was okay. So I trust the guy. What he was saying. So
yeah. I have to laugh at that because you said you were like there for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
The first time I went into one of those places, like an hour flew by, like it was nothing. I don't even think I bought anything yet.
Yeah.
They're like, "Here, try this one.
Well,
try this one."
He had to go buy something for his mom for Mother's for her birthday. So that's,
well, there's that.
Oddly
That's
enough,
what that was
that
about,
location actually got smashed in by a car somehow.
Oh no!
I don't know if you heard about that, but someone, I don't know, driving too fast down, was it Shepherd, I guess, and like just slammed right into the entire place and just destroyed like half of the
Holy
place. So they
cow.
just
That's
recently
not good.
They just recently
Kind of
rebuilt
reopened,
it,
huh?
and yeah, I had no idea. But
Wow, that's very
Funny story.
That's an interesting story, but I have to say, and I of course have tried this, although I did not try it on Father's Day, but I brought it home, put it in the refrigerator, and tried it, and I'll give you my thoughts on it. But I wanted to bring it in on the show, partially because we've never had anything from Texas Beer Refinery. They're in Dickinson, Texas, and I'm not sure. I don't know if you know this, Adam, or not, but I'm not sure if Texas Beer Refinery has product available in bottles and cans. They may be one of the breweries that has the brew house. And
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I haven't either.
in on a shelf. So.
Mm-hmm.
And well, that's one of the other cool things about these places is any place that makes kegs can have their beer in these places, and you can't get a lot of local brews because a lot of local brews don't can. Like,
right.
Sometimes they're just
and
kegs.
that is the fastest growing trend in craft beer right
big
now.
time.
Is the local breweries that just do kegs and maybe do growlers, or maybe they're available at a place like Jug. So I don't know if you can see my taster glass here, but the fill level should give you an indication of what I thought about this this particular IPA the first time I tried it. But it'll be interesting, Ian, to get your research notes, because I'll tell you what I thought. This reminded me very much of some of the earliest IPAs that I enjoyed when I was first getting into that style of beer. So I kind of graduated as a beer snob. I kind of graduated from, first from, the mainstream beers, from big beer to things like blonde ales and dark ales, things like Shiner Bock and stuff like that. And then from that, I kind of stepped into IPAs. And at first, I was like, I don't know. And then I started to really develop a taste for it, and this reminds me very much of Harpoon IPA, of the IPA from Red Hook, which is one of the early IPAs that I tried and really got into, and I just really like the characteristics of this. I would be curious to know what your thoughts are, Ian.
So this right here is. Do you like mac and cheese?
I love mac and cheese.
So there's a difference between mac and cheese that you make from an instant kit,
Yes.
which is still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And I would call that your run-of-the-mill IPA.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the crafty ones that put
Yeah.
so much stuff in there that you forget it's mac and cheese.
That's right. And it's just got, everything from lobster meat to
Right.
different, varieties of cheese. To
This is like mac
bacon.
and cheese that's absolutely true to the original formula
Mm-hmm.
and original ingredients, but done so well.
Right.
And the balance is so good. The probably this is right up there with, I've talked about it. I don't think I had a chance to have it on here, but there's a Shannon Brewery in Fort Worth or Keller, Texas, I think it actually is, that makes an IPA that's this good. And it is exactly what you said. Like when I first tried IPAs, this is what they tasted like. They were balanced. They were crisp. They were bitter, but the bitter finishes with a crispness, not with a bitter twang.
Well, IPA went through this stage as it became more popular, where it seemed like everybody was trying to out-hop everybody else. And some of them, Stone Brewing, did it really well.
Right.
And some of them just got hoppy.
Yeah, some of them just got so hoppy, it's like I've said before, chewing on a pine cone. Or my buddy says it's like eating freshly clipped grass or whatever.
Right.
This right here is what I really enjoy about a great IPA. It has a very floral start to it. You smell it like it's big. There's no doubt about it. You open this up, you can smell it. The next thing that happens is this malty middle profile that rolls right across the middle of your tongue.
In the middle.
And then this bitter yet still super juicy and wonderful, like hits the back of the tongue where the bitterness hits and just fills your mouth. And then when you swallow, you have this aftertaste that's just fantastic, and it goes away. Whoosh.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't leave a bitter cling or anything like that. This is a fantastic beer.
You know, the way you just described that reminds me of how I learned to describe Harpoon IPA, which was one of the first IPAs that I really began to love. And what was interesting for me is in my journey as learning, you know, to enjoy different styles of beer, it was drinking IPAs that opened me up to sort of like everything else. You know, until I got there, I was very, I like a blonde ale, but I don't really want anything too crazy, or, you know what I mean? And once I really started identifying the flavors in IPA and really started thinking, you know, this craft beer thing has got this. It's going to be hard to go back to drinking regular beer again, right?
Yeah.
And that was when I started trying, brown ales and stouts and different styles that hadn't been my thing before, and really learning to enjoy them and appreciate them. And so I have IPA to credit for that. And this reminds me of all those good things about IPA that I always loved.
The smell of this one immediately brought me back to one of the first IPAs I've ever actually tried. I was playing a gig in Galveston at a place that was the Galveston Brewery or Brewery in Galveston or something like that. Anyway, it was just off the Strand, and my band used to play there once a month. And the brewmeister there loved it. I'd come in and he'd be like, "Look what I made now." And this was way early, so this was like in
Before
the 90s.
the craft beer explosion.
This was in the mid to late 90s. Definitely mid to late 90s, before this all really became so huge, and it was just burgeoning on the scene. And he sat down an IPA, and I never had one before. And he sat this thing down, and he sat it on the table. I could smell it. I was like, "What is that?" Like, that's interesting. And this reminds me so much of that. Like, the smell of it brought me back because it's that kind of smell.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I'm a fan. I'm for
this
it.
is good thing I'm for it. Texas Beer Refinery is the name of the place that brews this, and Jugs is the name of the place where you can buy it in Houston.
Good job, you guys.
Without having to go. So, yeah, what a Father's Day.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we turn our attention to tequila. Tequila 101 specifically, how to really enjoy tequila. Plus, we'll be sampling some tequila that is known as El Amo Edicion Premium Anejo Tequila. We'll be back with that on Smoking and Toasting. Jugs, dude.
Wow, my friend, that is a great idea.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yes.
Yeah. I know. I was expecting it to be good when I opened it. I opened it Monday night. And we were watching TV, and I was like, I'm gonna have some of that beer. And I cracked it open, and I was like, oh, this is so good. I'm putting the top on and putting it back in the refrigerator, because if I have any more, there will be none left for the show. So that's why it was only because I poured about half a glass.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's a good choice.
The first one I tasted actually, and I tried it. I was like, "Whoa, that's
Yeah.
good." And then I tried some more. I was like, "That's good, that's good." Like, but no, I can't get it.
Yeah, not like that.
I was like, I gotta get that one. Give me that one.
We need to
Great
get those
choice.
guys on the show so they can bring us more of that.
Yes, we
Yeah,
do.
The guys there were just so nice, man. I don't know if it was that one guy in general, but he was just so nice, and open. You know, just really made you feel at home. Just wanted to hang out there.
That's great. That's great. Where is Dickinson, Texas?
South. It's kind of by Texas City area and all that, I believe.
Okay. So it's in the sort of like greater Houston
Well,
metro
it's
area?
I think it's out by Webster, actually.
Okay.
Let me see. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Not so far that they couldn't come be a guest on the show.
No, not at all. I think it'd be a pretty quick drive for them. 31 miles away.
Oh, yeah.
It is just south of League City.
Okay. We've been there.
Yeah.
Speaking of League City, and Manny, if you are watching,
Manny!
shout out. I really want to get Manny back on the show very soon because he's part of this lawsuit against the FDA stuff. He's part of the Texas-based lawsuit.
Why don't we see if we can set something up?
Yeah, we definitely need to get Manny.
We can see if we can drag him out here, or we can go out there. I need to pick up some of his cigars anyway because I'm out.
I'll be contacting you, Manny. All right. Wow, that's good beer. I'm just going to put it back in here so it stays cool.
My brother was calling me while we were doing that, so obviously he's not watching my show. Thanks, Dan. Do you include all these little parts in between on the podcast or just on the YouTube?
The only ones I take out is like when I leave the room or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I keep most of them in.
Good, so he'll hear that at some point in time.
Yeah. But that's only on the YouTube. Though.
On you, yeah, not on the audio version, but on the
podcast.
the audio is just the segments.
Oh, gotcha.
All right, ready to rock here. Welcome back to Smokin' and Toastin'. It's show number 93, and we are doing Tequila 101 on this show. We'll get to that in just a moment. My name is Cruz, my co-host, the erstwhile Ian Barry.
Erstwhile is such a good word.
It's a good word, isn't it? Yeah. I could have said the dank Ian Barry, because that's been one of our words on the show, but I thought erstwhile was a little more
in the mid-'90s, back when we used to play at that bar in Galveston, we actually used to play with a band there. This ties it all together, by the way. You know how Good Story does this? We used to play with a band there that was from Galveston. They were called
Dank.
The Dank.
The Dank. That's even better. The Dank is better than just Dank. I love it. I absolutely love it. We are 93 shows into this thing, man.
Madness.
And you would think that we'd probably...
Why haven't they stopped us? What are they thinking?
Well, you would have thought someone would step in. And you would have also thought that perhaps we would have already played every card we have to play. You know what I mean? That we'd shown all of our bag of tricks. But this is not true either.
Oh, stick around. It just gets weird.
Yes. Stick around and not on this show, it'll be a couple of episodes. But we are getting very near to the debut on this program of something called... Oh, you wanted to... Okay. We're getting very near to the debut on this program of something called... Puppets Smoking Cigars. That's all I'll tell you for now. It's going to be good. Or not, but it's going to be, you know? Yes, absolutely. So, Ian, you and I are both fans of the agave.
Yes.
I've been a fan of the agave. In fact, I have to say, I know if you had to probably choose your favorite spirit, you would probably say whiskey, right?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be my guess. I know you're a whiskey guy, right?
Yes.
I think mine might be tequila.
That's a tough one because
it's tough.
When I look at you, I also see rum.
See, I love rum so much, and I've really become quite fond of a great whiskey too. This is when we started the show, I would have put whiskey at a distant third for me. Tequila and rum battling for first and second, whiskey at a distant third in terms of what spirits I like. Now, whiskey's really, really coming on.
So it's funny. It's funny because whiskey would be my first, starting with Scotch and then moving to whiskey in general and bourbon, of course. But since we started this show, I didn't really like rum at all because I didn't know anything about it. I wasn't a big fan. Tequila was tequila's okay.
Yeah.
You've taught me so much about tequila and how good tequila can be.
Well, I thought a lot of people are probably the same as you. Like, they may have learned to experience and appreciate a great whiskey, a great bourbon, a great single malt, but maybe aren't in the same place with tequila.
I think because tequila gets the rep of being that
Thing you did in college.
I had an incident.
Yes, of course. We talk about that.
Then there's there's that song, the Jose Cuervo song.
Oh, yeah,
and then there's, So, and then, tequila, when you're out and people are doing shots and there's lime and salt involved, that was most of my experience with tequila beforehand.
And, it can be fun to, like, throw some shots back and, woo, party. But it's not a sophisticated drinking experience.
See, I still don't do the training wheels.
Yeah.
Like lime and salt to me with any shot is lime and salt is fine in a margarita.
I was going to say, only place I want lime is I want lime in my margarita, and I don't mind a little salt on the rim. Yeah.
That's a drink, though. And the other thing I've learned, too, over the years is I just don't shoot tequila like I used to. If someone says, do you want a shot of tequila? I will, and I'll sip it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll usually get something a base level of like Padron,
right?
Or
the Padron Silver can be a very nice.
There's
tequila
nothing
to
wrong
sip.
with that. Nothing
Absolutely.
wrong with that at all.
Absolutely. Well, I want to lay something on you here that I think is perfect for people who might be at the same place as what you described. Like maybe you might have had tequila, you might have had a tequila incident, but you weren't really at the place of learning to enjoy and appreciate tequila as a fine beverage, as a fine sipping beverage, something to pair with a cigar, something to, enjoy after dinner in a snifter, if you will.
That is another thing that you just mentioned is the cigar pairing with tequila is alarmingly good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm amazed at how good it is. And I don't know why it didn't occur to me because tequila is grown in the same regions as some of the tobaccos.
Yep.
And that makes sense that they would go together.
I find that tequilas and rums pair
again, same
across,
regions and
kind of across the board more easily with cigars. Whiskeys, if you get the right one, oh my God, the pairing is amazing. But it's more particular.
Yeah.
But with tequila, there's a few common mistakes that people make when they're maybe not quite learning yet to appreciate tequila. So let's go through a few of these steps. I think you'll appreciate this. If you are a tequila novice or somebody who's just had it, with a salt and lime or whatever, the first thing is that most of what you've been drinking is probably what we call mixto. It's not 100% blue agave. So the first thing that you want to learn is that a good tequila is always made from 100% blue agave plants, but a mixto only has to contain 51% agave sugars, and the rest can be topped with added sugars and syrup. So all you have to do is look for something on the bottle.
Fluid.
Yeah. Look for something on the bottle that says 100% blue agave. You'll find it on tequilas that are.
Absolute must for any tequila I drink now.
Most tequila that is made in the state of Jalisco, either in the town that is called Tequila or up in the highlands of Jalisco and Los Altos, there's a microclimate in that area where the blue agave plants grow bigger at a slower pace, and they have more flavor. And so that's why you're not allowed to call it tequila if you grow blue agave outside of those regions and distill it and bottle it. It might still be okay.
What do you actually call it?
I don't know. Because I don't think anybody's ever tried to pass it off.
Why would you try it? Right?
If you like tequila, try this. Because the problem is it's just not going to be as good because that's the microclimate.
Well, and then it'd probably be cost prohibitive because if blue agave grows so well in that area, why would you try to make it grow somewhere where it doesn't want to grow as well?
Exactly. It's all right. So here's the second tip: gold tequila isn't necessarily better. Now, this confuses a lot of people because you'll have, for example, a Patron Silver, a very, very good Silver Blanco tequila. And then you look at a tequila that's gold, you assume that's going to be better than that. But that is not always the case.
I think that misnomer comes from the fact, and maybe even somewhat intentionally, that we use gold as a system of quality as well.
Right. And
like if
so-
something is
right.
gold quality,
Right.
we think of gold being better than silver, like
If I
like
give
the
you-
Olympics,
right.
you know?
If I give you a gift and it's silver, you're like, oh, thanks. If I give you a gift and it's gold, you're like, wow.
Right. Well,
You
think
know?
about our podium standings. You got bronze, gold, silver,
Right.
or bronze, silver, gold, right? And gold being the top. So when you say something is gold, our brains always think, oh, that must be better. But that's not necessarily the case. That may just be a color description.
Well, here's the way it works for tequila. Blanco is, there's several different types of tequila. Blanco is also called silver or white tequila. Blanco is unaged. It basically represents tequila in its purest form. It has not been in barrels. It's not been resting, is what they call it. And then there's Reposado. Reposado is a tequila that is going to have a golden hue to it. So it is one step up, perhaps, from Blanco, but it has rested in oak barrels for up to 12 months. That's the first step of aging. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's better. It just means it's more aged. You've had bourbons that have not been aged that have probably been better than some bourbons that were aged.
True.
But generally speaking, age adds quality and depth and complexity, particularly when it's aged in oak barrels. Anything that has rested, that's the tequila word, rested, for over 12 months is known as añejo, or añejo, if you want to really try the pronunciation.
Meaning year.
Which typically takes a darker color than reposados. And anything that's aged over 3 years is muy añejo, or extra añejo, or añejo extra is the way that it can be labeled and marketed. And they usually go up in price in that order because the more time it has to rest and age, the more expensive ultimately that it is for the tequila makers to produce.
The process takes longer. Everything
Right.
takes longer. And you're also going to have less product.
Right.
So there's higher demand.
Here's where the confusion comes in, though. Mixtos, the mixed tequila we talked about earlier, that isn't even 100% blue agave, are generally golden in color as a result of added caramel colorings or flavorings. You don't want mixtos.
Because we like gold.
Yeah, we don't want mixtos. You want 100% blue agave. And so that's why a Patron Silver is better tasting than a lot of gold tequilas. Yeah. Now, a gold tequila can be a reposado. You just have to know what you're dealing with, and you have to see the 100% blue agave on the label.
Basically, remember, gold refers to the color, not the quality.
That's right. That's exactly right. The third thing that you should probably know is good tequila can be expensive because it takes at least 7 years, 7 to 9 years to grow an agave plant. Sometimes even longer. Sometimes up to 11 or 12 years. So there's some real patience involved here. If you think about like fine tobacco, the crops are grown every year. Now, they may be cured and aged for a certain amount of time.
Right, but you grow them
the crops
every year.
themselves grow once a year, not once every 7 to 12 years. So that's an important thing. Because it takes so long to grow the plants, the growing cycle is subject to the occasional droughts that interrupt the supply chain, and that pushes the price up. That's especially the case now because supply and demand is very high at the moment for tequila.
And 7 years ago,
Right.
who would have thought we should plant, 3 or 4 times the extra amount of plants?
Exactly.
Because then all of a sudden tequila is going to explode.
The tequila expert who is in this article that I'm quoting from advises against scrimping on a bottle. He says anything below about $27 is probably a mixto. So he says, stay in the higher region price wise, and you'll be in a much better place. Okay, here you're gonna love number 4. Swap the salt and lime for a typical Mexican chaser. Drinking tequila with salt and lime or lemon is not a thing in Mexico. They don't do it, and it's suggested that if you want something to chase that with, that tequila, try it the way they do in Mexico. A sangrita is made up of juices from tomatoes, pomegranates, spices, and peppers. It's the same ingredients that make up typical salads in Jalisco. At the end of the day, it's customary to drain the leftover juice from the large salad bowls, pour it into a bottle to sip with your tequila as a chaser. Now, you remember when Stuart's Claus from Pura Vida was on?
Yeah.
He brought the Sangrita, and we had that after the tequila, and it was like it gives you
fantastic.
a whole new appreciation for how good the tequila is. In Mexico, it's all about sipping your tequila. Sip, don't shoot. That's number 5. Enjoy it, sip it, enjoy it throughout the day is what they do in Mexico. It's something they like. Don't just sit down and have, and then they're done. They enjoy sipping it through the day. They use a slightly taller and wider glass than the typical shot glass, and they call it a caballito, which means little horse. That's what the tequila glass means. Item number 6: don't serve it too cold. If it's a margarita, you can ice it down all you want. Even frozen can be good for margaritas. But drinking at room temperature helps you get the full range of flavors from your tequila if you were sipping just like you would with red wine. Number 7, nice tequila cocktails other than margaritas do exist. There aren't that many that you'd immediately associate with tequila compared to like gin and vodka and other spirits. But if you are sticking to the margarita, mix it up with some pink peppercorn or chipotle salt around the rim. It gives it a little more tang. But definitely, he says, don't use sugar. You also should try the Paloma, which is made with tequila, grapefruit, soda, and sugar. And the Matador is another great old classic. You can look up how to make these online. And it gives you
Palomas
another
are
option.
quite good.
Yeah, tequila, pineapple juice, and lime are in the Matador. Finally, tequila is said to be an upper. If you're prone to the blues, say, from gin, tequila, unlike other spirits, is said to be an upper, and many have claimed that it can give feelings of euphoria. Now, tequila is known for being the cause of nightmarish bad hangovers, but it is possible to enjoy tequila through the night, responsibly, of course, and not have a dreadful hangover.
Yeah,
but you need a decent bottle of tequila, and you need to sip it, not throw it back. And there's your tips for Tequila 101.
Didn't Jim Brewer have a...
Speaking of tequila, I found a very inexpensive 100% de agave, it says right there, Anejo tequila that is called El Amo. And when I say inexpensive, this is a little less than $30.
Nice.
So it's almost, and it's an Anejo, so it's almost in that range where you go, this
Maybe not.
might be questionable. But I'm going to let you try this. And this is interesting on a couple of accounts because not only was it inexpensive, but it came packaged in this gift box, which also included a small bottle of the Reposado. This is the Anejo.
I love it when they do
small
that.
bottle of the Reposado. Now, that works for me because I really wanted the Anejo, but I love trying the Reposado and trying the difference. What's really interesting is that when I tasted this, and yes, I will admit I have already done some tasting.
called research.
Yeah, when I did my research on this, I actually tasted the Reposado first and was very impressed by the Reposado. I was like, okay, if the Reposado's good, what's the Anejo going to be like? So it's the Anejo I brought in for us to do a little tasting with today, and we'll see what we'll see what it accomplishes. I'll hold off on my thoughts, Ian, until you've taken a look at your research notes and can tell me where you think we're headed with the El Amo. And remember, this is very inexpensive.
All right. So first off, it smells good. It smells warmer. Like it has a darker, richer smell than I was expecting, especially for something in that price range.
Mm-hmm.
The flavor leaves my mouth basically watering away. It's really sweet right up front.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is a sweetness that happens right at the first, like just burst of sweetness, and then you get that big agave warmth across the tongue, and those sugary flavors going across. There's almost no heat to this at all.
It's amazing to describe a tequila as having sugary flavors, but yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does. It has an actual sweetness to it in a way that's very pleasant, by the way, not a cloying sweetness, but in a way that's very pleasant. So,
and there's pepper in it too.
Yes, there is some pepper.
Peppery flavors, but pepper like like black pepper, but in a great way across the back of that.
Now, I enjoyed when I was in Los Angeles, I had gotten a hold of some very
Vanilla.
inexpensive Hornitos Anejo tequila. And I found it to be very good, but not nearly as complex as this. It was
Yeah.
very peppery, and I enjoyed the peppery to it. But it's kind of like the difference between when you get a really complex cigar versus one that is really good, but it's kind of one or two notes,
Right.
You know, and that's how I would describe the Hornitos versus this. This is much more complex. You're getting a real combination of flavors in there.
Yeah.
I'm even getting a little bit of caramel, but again, no caramel's
So
been added to
I
this.
was about to say the vanilla and caramel come back a little later on you, and this is way more complex than I would expect at anything under $30.
Yeah, I'm going to stop and get some more on the way home today because I'm afraid after people see the show, the
There's going to be directly
there might
affect
be
your sales.
Yes, yes.
I bet this.
I got this at Specs.
and at under $30, you don't feel bad about making margaritas with this. I bet it's amazing in a margarita.
I haven't tried this. I do actually want to get a bottle of the Reposado to try in margaritas. I'm almost scared to try this in margaritas because I like it so much as a sipping tequila. I'm going to say that I like this almost as much as the Skelly,
That's big words.
and it's about half the price. And I don't think of Skelly as being overpriced, by the way. I think it's
Now at $50,
I think it's
and it's
worth
super
it-
smooth.
So that's where if we were talking price to quality, this is scoring like a 7.5.
Yeah, so I would say the Skelly scores 5.5
Yeah,
at $50.
at $50 a bottle.
This being $30 and being this good, I
It's
agree
actually
with
a
you.
little under 30, believe it or not.
Yeah.
The first number is a 2.
That's nuts.
Yeah. I'm really impressed. And to be honest with you, I almost bought it thinking, well, this will give us another tequila to try on the show. We can't always try the most ultra super premium of
Right.
everything. You know what I mean? I
Right.
thought, oh, this will be, let's see how this is for a less pricey tequila. And wow.
Sometimes the less pricey stuff, I remember when one of my brothers was in town, I took him to Reserve 101, which has every whiskey ever.
Yeah, right.
Like that place is crazy cool. And we were trying a few things, and then after I'd had a couple different drinks, I said, you know what? I went in and I got just got a double of Buffalo Trace, and I came out and I was happily sipping away and smoking my cigar. My brother's like, "Oh, what are you drinking now?" Because he was about to go in and get himself a drink. I said, "This is Buffalo Trace." I said, "Here, try it." So he takes a sip of it, and he was blown away. He's like, "This is so good." Like he was telling me how much he liked it. I said, "Now, here's the funny thing is, that's a $30 or under bottle." And he was mind-boggled by that. As a matter of
Yes.
fact, when he came into town last time, he bought a big handle of it, I think, for like a little above $30.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic whiskey. So
Well-
I love that. This is definitely going to hit my shelf.
So we're going to call these the Buffalo Trace of tequila.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Because I think it totally works. And at under $30,
Yeah.
that I'm going to say it's highly, highly recommended by your pals here at Smoking and Toasting. And if you kind of follow the advice of the Tequila 101 stuff, you will learn to really enjoy and appreciate this spirit in a way that you might not have if you've been more of just a tequila party person.
You will also notice that during the filming of this episode, no limes or salts were injured.
That's exactly right. No limes or salts were injured during this show. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with I don't know if you can stand it, Ian, after all of the goodness we've had here, but the 11 Below Brewing Big Mistake Barrel Aged Stout is coming up in our final sequence. Plus, red alert, there may be a shortage of PBR. I will have the story for you.
Egad.
Coming up.
And Great Scott.
Smoking and Toasting. Thank you for listening.
Why is egad such a good
I know,
explanation?
that's a great word.
That's pretty outstanding.
At that price point? If I told you it was a $50 bottle, you wouldn't bat an eye.
No, and the bottle's pretentious enough, too.
Yes, I know.
Like, it's almost ridiculously pretentious. That's hilarious.
On the beach in Hawaii,
Welcome back to Smokin' and Toastin'. This is the program that's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. My name is Cruz. My co-host, Ian Barry.
That guy's crazy.
I was going to say erstwhile again, but I at the last minute, I bailed on it. We're brought to you by B&B Butchers and Restaurant at 1814 Washington Ave in Houston, and the shops at Clear Fork at Fort Worth. Pabst Blue Ribbon, PBR. There may be a shortage looming.
All you hipsters, pay attention.
CNBC reported this week that the iconic brew PBR and Miller Coors are heading to court in November as Pabst has filed a $500 million lawsuit against Miller Coors. According to the outlet, the two are feuding over a reported breach by Miller Coors in a decades-old agreement that the Keystone beer maker would brew Pabst's legacy beers, including PBR, until 2020. Though the current deal offers multiple options for renewal, Miller Coors reportedly wants out due to in part to a dwindling beer market, according to Food and Wine. So Miller Coors, looking at the adjustments and shift in the market, is saying, this is one we don't still need to produce. And Pabst Blue Ribbon is saying, hey, we have a deal.
And Pabst is oddly on a rise in the last 5 because it's become like the hipster beer of choice.
Mm-hmm. If the two parted ways, Pabst would be in a tight position to find a new brewery or build one of their own, two equally difficult options that could potentially lead to a dreaded shortage of the hipster brew.
Does it actually say of the hipster brew?
No, I threw that. I made that part up.
That was awesome, and you made that like perfect.
But it is what it is. Well, while we're talking about big beer versus craft, by the way, a very interesting thing happening. You were just in Florida. You may have even shopped at a Publix.
Yes, I actually never went into one, but I saw a lot of the Publix grocery stores.
Publix, with an X on the end, is one of the big grocery store chains, and much like a Kroger here or a Stop and Shop up in the Northeast.
Giant Eagle if you're in Pennsylvania.
If you live in Florida, you may have noticed that at Publix, the Florida-based beer options are being shoved off the shelf. Big Beer, Anheuser-Busch InBev in particular, are starting to push local craft beers off public shelves all over Florida, and exerting pressure to have them replaced with the national craft beer brands that AB InBev owns. So they're exerting their pressure as a large distributor on Publix, which is a very large grocery store chain, and saying, you need to, if you want, to get the right kind of deals on, Budweiser and Bud Light and whatever, then you need to give shelf space to our craft beers, and that can be at the expense of the other.
Well, so a lot of these large macro brews are starting to see that craft brew is now taking somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 8% of the market, and they can't have that.
Well,
why should they submit that much of the market and shelf space to anybody else?
So I was in Kroger the other day. There's a whole aisle of craft/import. Now, in fairness, it has the Carbox and the AB InBev owned stuff along, and things like Shock Top and Blue Moon are there, along with real craft beers. But there's the craftier aisle, and then there's the sort of mainstream aisle. And, this is really funny. There was a guy there sampling. I'm at Kroger on Saturday. There's a guy there sampling Red Stripe. I'm like, that sounds good. I haven't had Red Stripe in a long time. Red Stripe, I really enjoy when I'm on vacation on the island. So sample the Red Stripe. And my wife says, if we had some Red Stripe at home, I'd probably drink it. I go, okay, I'll buy you some. They were out. The sampling guy's there, and they didn't even check the stock on what he's sampling. Exactly. Anyway. But the point is, craft beer has a whole aisle to itself, basically. Thank you. And then there's the aisle for the mainstream beer. Even though I know mainstream beer still sells more, it's having the variety and the choice in craft. If you're looking to get someone like you or me to shop there and buy our beer there, it's the variety and the choice. Let's just
go ahead and say that it is popular enough for a store to create an entire aisle for it, which is amazing.
And I want to say hi also to Gloria, who I ran into this week, who stocks the beer at the Phoenicia downstairs in my building. We had a long talk about craft beer, and she was asking me what I liked and what I wanted to stock more of, and it was awesome. So shout out to Gloria.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
I'm just amazed, like, when you're talking about the big macro brews pushing out the small brews. What's freaky about that is, so I have a grocery store by my house that has a very small craft brew area. Like, it is literally, if you take, there's one beer aisle, and if you take the craft brew area out of it, that would be a fifth or a sixth of the entire aisle. Like, that's my whole craft beer section. Now, the Bud Light section, just meaning the area that holds only Bud Light, not all their other stuff, just Bud Light, is bigger than my entire craft beer section. The Budweiser section is just as big as the Bud Light section.
Right.
The Miller Lite section is bigger than both of those. Right? And it's just amazing that they go, oh, well, we want more shelf space for our beer. You only have one beer.
Yeah, this is them exerting.
I got an idea.
Pressure.
You want to take over the craft beer shelf space? Make better beer. Make beer that I want to buy.
Make better beer. I like it.
Or just put flavor in it. Something.
Now with flavor. New Miller High Life.
Stop selling me the package. Try and sell me a product.
Barrel-aged stout. Not something you would expect from big beer.
Thanks for letting me be on my soapbox.
Oh, I appreciate your soapbox. I dig it. I dig it. Barrel-aged stout made by 11 Below Brewing. It says here, it's our third birthday, and after a long time out in Texas bourbon and rye whiskey barrels from Cooper Family Rye and Yellow Rose Distilling, we've finally let this Imperial Stout out of its corner. Most people learn from their mistakes, but we've never been quick learners. But we promise we'll make good choices in year 4. This is the 2018 Big Mistake Barrel-aged stout.
I love that
and I'm
artwork.
showing this artwork to the camera. It's the kid running with scissors, and I don't know if you can see that, but he's about to step on a banana peel. He's already beheaded the teddy bear. I don't know if you can see that. The teddy bear is already gone.
I like the handprints all over the refrigerator, too. So, 11 Below makes great beer.
They make great sounding can
They
openers.
do. They make great beer. I was introduced to them a while. They have a beer that cracks me up. It's called Oso Bueno.
Yes.
Now, it's OSO and then second word bueno, so which literally translates in Spanish to bear good.
Bear good.
Or good bear as you would actually translate it.
Oso is bear.
Oso is bear and bueno is good. But so that's that double entendre. So it's Oso Bueno. Or Oso
Bueno. Yes, of course.
And it's great. And their artwork has this great cohesiveness to it as well that I really enjoy because it's entertaining to look at. So when you see their stuff on a shelf, it's very distinctive.
It kind of stands out.
Yeah, it's very distinctive.
It really does. Yeah,
you will not miss their products on your shelf.
Yeah, I just like what they're all about. I like their sort of whimsical attitude. There's a good word for you, whimsical. This is a Houston-based brewery, 11 Below Brewing Company, and I'm glad to see them getting the push out into stores. This is very exciting to be able to find this. Big Mistake reigns in. Oh, Ian,
It tastes like it.
12.5.
It tastes like it. This
Comes in at
I can't wait till you try this because this has the relative consistency of motor oil.
Well, I'm loving the initial aroma.
Burnt toffee.
It is very much burnt. Yeah, it's not just toffee, but it's
caramel.
burnt toffee. Yes.
Yeah, and caramel kind of smell. This tastes like you set a Heath bar on fire.
Wow. You know that right as you said that, it was actually hitting the middle portion of my tongue, and you could not have described it better.
It's fantastic.
It's like a roasted Heath bar.
And that's okay. When it hits the middle portion of your tongue, it will stay there a while because it's
oh my God,
thick enough to take a while to get across your palate.
We've used the word viscosity.
It has
on
a
the show
high
before.
viscosity.
Yeah. Now, much like the Anejo Tequila that we were talking about in the last segment, this is not a beer you want to just throw back.
No.
You want to sip this and really take in the flavor and really understand what this beer is all about.
You will notice that no salts or limes have been injured or harmed in the filming of this episode.
So if the Brooklyn Pale Ale Summer Seasonal that we had is over here at the refreshing end of the scale.
Over here at refreshing.
Yeah. This is over here on the not necessarily refreshing, but wow,
Yeah.
the flavor experience.
Can you imagine
sort of-
having
sort of
this
yeah.
with a like a chocolate mousse or something for dessert?
I'm imagining having it with a Nica Libre cigar.
Oh yeah,
That's what I'm imagining.
Because
But
both
yes,
of those
with
would be chocolate bombs.
Yes, yes. But with a chocolate dessert as well. Yeah, like a chocolate mousse would be
Yeah.
perfect with this. Although you might go on a chocolate overdose. Seriously,
Or even like a
there's-
Tres Leches cake.
oh gosh.
That would be pretty amazing. This would be great, and I'm not even joking, to make a float out of an ice cream
Like an ice cream float?
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
be amazing with this,
At 12.5, it
and it will get your attention.
it will get your attention. Yes, you were right about the thickness. The mouthfeel is, other than the beer that you brought in that had chunks in it that one time, this may be one of the thickest mouthfeel beers that I can remember trying on the show. I mean, it is definitely there.
Yeah, I mean, you almost have to squeeze it out of the can to get the last few drops. It is incredibly.
I wouldn't be surprised if it came in tubes. What's the beer?
It is incredibly viscous, and it also has a very low carbonation to it
Yes.
as well. But this is like today has been great day for all of our
For all of
products
the
that we've had
tasting,
on.
yeah, it really, and they've all been very different too. I mean, the IPA, the Pale Summer Ale, the El Amo Tequila, and now capping it off with this. And you know, I don't want people to think that we're just homers, that we like every single thing that we try.
If you've watched previous episodes, you'll notice that I don't
But
have a problem with that.
You know what? In fairness, though, this is stuff we like. I mean, we're in an area that we're already passionate about. So if we're choosing to sample on the show quality products, chances are pretty high that we're going to like them. So the question becomes, how much do we like them? How do they compare with other things that are at this? I will say, and I confess I don't remember the exact dollar amount, but I remember that this was a fairly expensive can of beer.
I bet.
Yeah, it was not a cheap one at all. In fact, I've bought bombers that were less than this can of beer. So it's important to note that, you know, if you're going to have something like this, it's a luxury experience. And that's what, you know, look, I don't want to, you know, go off on a thing about, oh, this is all about the good life. We're just normal guys. But the idea, as you've always said, you can't hurry up and smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
Like the idea of being able to take time out of your crazy, hectic day-to-day life, enjoy a great cigar, enjoy a great tequila, enjoy a really awesome barrel-aged stout with a kid running with scissors on the can cover. I mean, it's just, to me, this is what this whole movement really is about. When I say movement, I mean the craft beer movement and the distilled spirits movement and the popularity of cigars. It's what it's all. It's about the relaxation. And you can't tell me. I know there are like health issues associated with all of these things, but you can't tell me there also isn't a health benefit if you're enjoying them in a responsible way and you're getting that moment of.
I also want to point out there are health issues involved with living in a city.
Yeah.
With crossing a busy street.
With getting into an automobile.
You can pick anything. Automobiles kill more people per year than most things.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Certainly.
And no one bans them.
Right.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole different thing I want to get into.
Yeah.
But what's amazing about it is, aside from all that, if you take all that aside, think about how much just sitting back and enjoying, like you said, how much that relaxation is worth to you.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
Like, I just had a vacation where I went away for a while and had fun and did my own thing. And the nice thing about that is I don't have responsibility. When I'm out and about, I don't have a lot of responsibility. I don't have to worry about I should be out in my workshop doing something, or I got to get this done, or I got that.
Really? Because earlier I think you were complaining about having to be on the show.
That
and
was,
interrupting
except for that one day, which, by the way, was our actual anniversary.
Oh, well,
just
see?
so you know.
Yeah. Well, that's why
I had
we
to
took
tell.
the trip. It was an
I
anniversary
had to tell my
trip.
wife, I'm sorry, Miss Tiffany, but I have to work on the anniversary.
Yeah, I have to.
But the rest of the vacation,
I have to enjoy a cigar and talk
no,
about
yeah,
beer
and just
spirits.
backing up what you're saying, just like those moments where you sit down and you light that cigar and you go, okay, for the length of this cigar, I don't have those things going on.
Right.
Right. I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to enjoy this and go. That's worth a lot.
Who was it that said the cigar is like a window to the soul?
I don't know, but that's brilliant.
I don't think anybody said it. I just made it up.
Then it was Cruz.
Yeah. Ian, it has been so great to have you back in the studio. I am going to toast you, my friend, and thank you for being here for the show. Smoking and Toasting 93 is in the books. Coming up on next week's show, 20 beers to avoid at all costs.
Also, my adventures in Ybor City.
That's right. It's going to be very exciting. I'm really excited about these cocktails and stuff.
Oh, you got to see this. This guy, there's a reason I filmed this. Like, you actually want to watch this. So, if you normally listen to this on audio, next week listen to it on audio. But those two segments, you definitely want to look at the YouTube channel,
catch them on video,
and watch this guy. And if you live in that area, go see this guy. Roy at Rock Brothers was amazing.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for being a part of the program. Thanks to Adam on the Wheels of Steel and the lovely Miss Tiffany for joining us in the studio this week. Have a wonderful week, my friends. Remember, as Ian is so fond of saying, you cannot hurry up and smoke a cigar. Have a wonderful week and cheers, everybody. This is the thickest beer I've ever enjoyed.
We'll see you later, Facebook everybody's.